here today to show you a new instrument and explain how it works. Does anyone know what this is? What is this? A bagpipe. Why do you think we call it a bagpipe? What do you think these are? Pipes. What do you think's in here? Bagpipe. Pretty good. All right. These pipes are made of wood. They're actually harvested from Africa. They're African blackwood, the same kind of wood that they used in a clarinet or an oboe. And they have metal rings on the tops and bottoms so that they don't split open, or what's called checking. If the wood gets dry or gets too moist, it can split. And we wouldn't want those to split because they wouldn't work properly. They would leak air, and if they leak air, they won't work. Inside of this portion is a interesting kind of reed, and the air travels through the bag, and it forces the air to go by this little tongue on there. You can see a little plastic tongue, and that little plastic tongue vibrates and just makes a humming sound. Hum. If you have too little air that goes through it, it might go, or it might sort of vibrate high. So when we play the bagpipes, we have to have the same pressure in the bag to get those to sound the same all the time. Because these, I can't change the pitch on these always play the same sound. These two are called tenor drones. This is called a bass drone. And does anyone know the definition of the word drone, besides a little aircraft that flies through the air? If you hear that fan blowing, you have this drone sound in the background that's always going on, although now it's not going on, but it was going on, which is okay. So when we have that, see how the room sounds different now that that drone noise is gone? Before, we weren't even really noticing it, were we? But it filled in some sound waves in the room. That's what the drones do on the pipes. They make a particular humming sound to fill in the background. This part of the pipes is called the chanter, and this plays the melody or the song. It operates with a reed as well, but it's very hard. It has two pieces that come together, and when I play that, it's loud. Very loud. When I play, does anyone know what kind of instrument this is? We have different kinds of instruments. We have woodwinds, we have brass, we have percussion, we have stringed instruments. Stringed instrument would be like a violin, has strings on it. A percussion instrument is something we hit. What's an example of a percussion instrument? A drum. A brass instrument is something that's the golden brass color. We blow through it, it's metal. What would be an example of that?
Trumpet.
A trumpet. Great. A woodwind would be something that at one time in music history was made of wood, and you blow through it. So what would be an example of a woodwind?
A bagpipe?
A bagpipe would be an example of a woodwind. That's exactly right. A clarinet, an oboe, a flute. Even though flutes today are metal, old flutes were made of wood. Question?
I have a flute and a wood.
Wow, you do. Is it a real flute with keys, or does it just have open holes in it? Is it a fife? Open holes. Is it a short one, about that long? That would be a fife, and those would be played along about the time of the Revolutionary War. How old do you think the bagpipes are? I think they're older than George Washington?
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Do you think they're older than the knights in shining armor over in Europe?
Yeah.
They are. That's exactly right. The earliest recorded time of bagpipes would be in the year 1000 BC. That is a long time ago. The Great Highland bagpipes, when is that? That's so far ago.
Wait, how did it get?
Not as far as dinosaurs. The last class said dinosaurs, but not that far away. So this would be during medieval times was when the Great Highland bagpipes came into existence. Does anyone know where the Great Highland bagpipes, what country or area they came from?
Ireland.
Ireland, and one other country.
Scotland.
Scotland, good job, that's right. Now, let me explain what I'm wearing today. I have on a kilt. A kilt is a Celtic or Irish-Scottish outfit that in ancient times they wore something called a great kilt, and that was not sewn. It's just a big piece of fabric that would go all the way from that wall all the way to that wall. It's a lot of piece of fabric. So in order to not carry around this giant bundle of blankets all day long, they would fold it and put it in pleats. And then they would take that and wrap it around and tie it on. So they had with them something they could use for a lot of different things. They could wear it for clothing. It was made out of wool, which comes from sheep, which has lanolin in it, which makes it naturally water repellent. So you could use it as a rain cover. At night, you could use it for a tent or a blanket, and it was very useful. At that time, pipers would wear ghillie brogues, which meant that if you marched or walked through water, they had small holes in the side and the water would drain right out. I have a pair of ghillie brogues, but they are painful, so I'm too old, I wear sneakers. They wear a kilt hose so that their leg would be protected from prickers and other things. If you're walking out here through the woods, you'd have things scratching your legs. So if you don't have pants that go all the way to the floor, they wore kilt hose, which were heavy. They held them up with what's called flashes, which are these things. They have a little piece of, now it's elastic, but then it was a string they tied on there, and it held the socks up. On top of that, I have something called a ski and do. You can see that right here. And the ski and do is sort of a utility item that the piper would have in his sock. One side would be sharp, the other side would be dull. So if he wanted to cut a piece of meat for lunch or a piece of bread, he could cut it. He could flip it around the other way, and he could eat off the other side. So it was almost like a knife, fork, and spoon he kept in his sock. Mine is fake because I work in schools and going through airports for performances and whatnot, and so you don't take sharp things to school or the airport. Up on top, I have a vest, and these buttons are made in Scotland. Some they can also be made in Ireland, but there's no Scotland. The design on the pattern on my kilt is called a tartan, and that has to do with your last name if you're in Scotland. If you're from Ireland, it has to do with the county in which you live. So we live in Hampden County, so if we had a Hampden County tartan, we would all wear that same tartan. Do you know you have a tartan here that's your Holyoke tartan? You have a tartan just for Holyoke. So if you wanted to wear a kilt, you could wear the Holyoke tartan, because you're from Holyoke.
Is it different between green and like reddish?
It has when they made the tartan, they used all the colors of the different schools in Holyoke. So they have a little bit of purple for Holyoke High School. They had Holyoke Catholic at the time. They had Dean at Tech at the time. Is there another high school in Holyoke? I think they used those three schools.
Technically the Transitions Academy, but I don't know if that's.
I don't think that was probably then.
Yeah.
So, all right, so let's go to, we've talked a little bit about what I wear. I have on a Glengarry with a badge. Now, when I march in the parade, we have a different uniform we add to it. And this is what I'll look like when I march in the big parade at Holyoke St. Patrick's Day Parade. So anybody gonna go to that parade? So our band will be the first pipe band in the parade. We're within the first five groupings of the parade. Usually it's the honor band and the State Police Academy graduates, and then us, maybe a fire truck in there or something. So look for me. If you see me, you can say, Mrs. B, Mrs. B. If I'm not playing, I will wave at you. If I'm playing, I will just nod at you. I have a big hat called a bonnet that goes all the way up to here. So when you look at everyone in the band, you'll be like, oh, I can't tell which one is her. You're right. It'll be hard to tell. Look for one of the shorter people, because a lot of the people I pipe with are men, so they're bigger. So look for someone who's short. Look for my red hair, although you can't see much of my hair under that bonnet. All right, so let's talk about what this sounds like, how it works, and let you have a chance to try it. I'm not gonna have you blow it, but I'm gonna have you see how hard it is to push the bag to make that work. Okay. So I'm gonna have you go ahead and block your ears. I have to inflate the bag. Then I have to push on the bag to make it go. Here we go. Now, there's a lot going on at the same time to make this all happen. I have to blow up the bag, I have to push on the bag and get the bag started. Then I have to keep blowing up the bag while I play. I have to get everything to have enough air pressure. If you don't have enough air pressure or enough push on the bag or not enough air in the bag, then the drones will start going wee, wah, because they won't have enough air pressure. So we want to keep a steady amount of air pressure in the bag. I'd like one volunteer, please. All right, come right up. All right, I'd like you to stand right behind me here. And I want everyone to watch how she does this. So when it's your turn, you can see how to do it. I want you to take this hand and put it on the outside of my bag, right there. I want you to take the other hand and put it on the inside of my bag. Do you see how there's nothing in there? Squeeze your hands together. See, there's nothing in there, it's flat. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna blow up the bag, and when you feel the bag's gonna get bigger, 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 when you feel that the bag, you can sort of push on it with your fingers, but not push a lot, just feel it getting bigger. As you feel the bag get full, when the bag feels like, that's like a balloon, it's full enough, then I'm gonna say go, and you're gonna push both hands together, and you're gonna play. And now I'll do the blowing and playing, but you're gonna make it play by pushing on the bag. And what you're doing is learning how much air pressure has to go in this to make it work. See how it feels fuller? Okay, ready? Push. Keep pushing, you're playing it. And see how it changes with the air pressure that goes down. Nice work! Good job! So what you're going to do is you're going to experience, and you see how the air pressure went wah, 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 at the end. If I'm playing and I don't keep enough air in this bag, then it's going to go wah, 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 and no one wants to hear that.
No.
All right, would you like to try? Come on up. Stand right behind me. Put that hand on the outside, the other hand on the inside. When you feel it full, we'll say go, and you give it a good push. Feel it? Ready? Go. Wow! Woohoo! We got a future piper here. Great work.
I mean, her last name is O'Connell.
Oh, there you go. You've got that in your blood. All right, here we go. Would you like to try?
Come on, Frank.
Come on, Frank. You can do this. You can do this. Here we go.
Hand on the outside of the bag and hand on the inside of the bag. Perfect. See how it feels flat? Ready? Go. Woohoo! Very good. Would you like to try? Would you like to try?
Come on, Jessia.
Ready to go, buddy?
It's heavy.
It is heavy. Ready? Go. Yay! Good work. Next.
Go right way. No, that's good. Nope.
I see bagpiping in your future. All right, good job. Oh, he's ready.
Oh, yeah, ready. Oh, yeah, ready.
Ready, go. Got better stuff.
I'll do that. Carter, what was
All right, go ahead.
for me? Shoulders.
Are you ready? Yes. 1, 2, ready, go.
It feels weird.
Yeah.
You skinny, that's unicorn on your shirt. Or
How perfect.
All right, you ready?
How skinny is? Well, by scratching it works.
Ready?
I know.
I want to try. I think Claire might be able to do it longer.
You think so?
Yes. My grandpa.
Awesome. You want to be able
I
to do
can
this
do
well?
it.
Claire, don't try to break your arms because eventually it will.
Go.
But she's still going.
Woo! Good job. That's awesome.
Hopped in a
So now you have, is there anyone that didn't get to try that would you like to try now? Sure, you can try. Yay! Got it! Give me a second.
Hold on. I hopped in a plane.
Oh, maybe I have that.
Ready? Go. Woo! You're working hard.
Wait, she's actually like squishing it.
Yes, she is. She's really getting every ounce of air out of it. Is there anyone that didn't want to go before and would like to go now? Anybody else would like to go? All right.
I'll do it again.
Would you like to just feel the bag if you don't want to play it? No? Those of you who didn't want to play? Okay. So, now, are you surprised how hard it was to push the bag? Yes. And when I first started learning bagpipes, it took me an entire year to build up the strength to do this. Because I didn't start playing bagpipes until I was over 60 years old. And that
How old are you?
I'm too old for that. So when I started doing this, it was really a lot of work. It was physically a lot of work. I had to really develop my physical strength to do it, as well as learning all the coordination of doing it. And it was a really good lesson to me to learn, because I've taught music for a long time, but it really showed me how difficult it was to learn a new instrument. So next year, when you start taking instruments, you want to be able to stick with it even though it feels hard. And if you have something that isn't working on your instrument, bring it to Mrs. Ambers and she'll be able to help you with that. But what you want to be able to do is know that you can stick with something and make it successful even if it's hard at first. because I am having so much fun with my bagpipes. And I've been able to come here and meet all of you because of them, and it's really been an enjoyable thing. So we really want to be able to stick with things that are difficult to do. Now, does anyone have any questions before we run out of our class period?
How do you squeeze the bag when you're flying?
So I squeeze the bag with my arm. So I'll give you a demonstration of that. You can block your ears. Watch my arm when I play. Now, if you're a good player, you want to sort of have the squeezing not show. So you don't want your drones bobbing up and down and everything. You want everything to be smooth. But if you watch my arm, you'll see that as the bag fills up, I have to keep my arm off the bag if I don't want sound. And then I put my arm on the bag with purpose when I want sound. When I'm done, I take it off. If I don't take it off at the end, what will happen is when all of you finish playing, and it'll go wow. And that's not how you want to end a song or a tune. You want it to end strong.
3, 2, 1, go.
So I start it by pushing on both sides. So I can't use this hand, so I use this part of my arm and my hand. And I strike the bag in. I was blowing up the bag, keeping constant pressure on it with my arm, and then when I wanted it to stop, I take my arm off the bag so no more air is forced out through the drones or the chanter to play.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when you learn a different music, is it like a sheet of paper, or do you like learn it off just on
It's fascinating. When we first learn to play bagpipes, when we blow through it, we learn it that way. It has a reed inside of here that's a softer reed than the one that's in here.
Why did it sound like if it was a guitar this time?
Yeah.
Why does it sound what?
Why does it sound like a guitar on that one?
Well, it's this is a plastic reed. So this little reed just makes a noise like this. It's not designed to be huge and loud. This is called a practice chanter. So this is just what we learn on. So we learn all of our music on this. And then once you have it all memorized, because on bagpipes, you're never going to be any place where you're going to use a music stand. So every single piece of music you learn for bagpipes is all memorized. Everything. So I probably know 50 or 60 songs on this, all memorized. So, and then our director will hand out 3 new pieces or 2 new pieces of music at one time, and he will expect us to come back the next week with them mostly memorized, and the week after that, done.
Can we at least hear one of the 50 songs?
Oh, I've played like 3 of them today here.
Yeah.
So, yes.
How does when you blow the bag up, how does it get so big?
It's made out of neoprene, they used to make them out of, actually, this is interesting, because bagpipes are so old, they didn't have plastic or anything, so they used to make it out of like the stomach of a sheep. And they would tie off the ends and everything. They don't do that anymore. This is all made of neoprene. So if we look at this, do you know what you make a wetsuit out of? That's the same material.
So if it like rains, it won't get wet.
So if you look at this, you can see that this is made of, it's like wetsuit material, so that the air can't go through it. And it has a zipper, and it opens up on the inside. So, question?
How often do you get to take breaths?
How often do I what?
Get to take breaths?
Well, that's an interesting thing. When you play, and this was something that was an interesting learning curve for me when I learned to play the bagpipes, because when you play flute or trumpet or any other instrument that requires wind, you have to put things in phrases. So I would sing, La da 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 da. Then I take a breath. Da 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 da. Then I take a breath. Do the next one. Da 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 da. But I can't do that here. So whenever I need to blow the bag up, I just had to train myself that my hands were doing one thing and I just blew up the bag. So how many times do I take a breath? It depends on the piece of music. If I'm playing higher notes, I have to keep more pressure on the bag or the notes will be flat. They won't sound as nice. So I have to push harder in the bag. I use more air. Why don't I play something and you can count how many times. You can see my stomach come out when I'm getting ready and my stomach will go in when I do a breath.
Two?
22, a lot of breaths.
Oh my God!
I counted 12. I counted 18.
And you know what I use in this?
I counted
You do a breathing exercise
I walked.
with Mrs. Ambers, don't you? Where you
I'll count.
breathe in and then you breathe out, yes? That is the exact breathing I use. She's been teaching you perfect instrument breathing all year before you even knew that was coming. So that is the exact, but I do that, how many did you say, 22?
Yeah.
22 times, then that's 1/3 of this piece that we play in the parade. You'll hear that piece in the parade actually.
Mrs. B, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Do you have that binder of all the sheet music that you brought and showed?
I did not bring the binder.
Oh, okay.
I apologize.
Because I was thinking of this question. It looked, because we started to learn to read the notes on the staff last week. So I think that's what maybe
Yes,
was asked
but I
about.
do use a binder with all the music in it, and I memorize it from all that, but I memorize it. So I just use it on my practice chanter to learn, and then I put a music stand up, and when I practice on my own at home. You know who hates the bagpipes? My cat. My neighbors. I do try to practice at a time of day that doesn't bother the neighbors. And when the neighbor's house was for sale, anytime a new person came to look at the house, I'd grab my bagpipes and run out in the yard and play so they knew what they were getting. So, all right, any other questions? All right, could we do it? Yes.
Do you have to be of Irish or Scottish descent to play the bagpipes?
You do not, nor do you have to be of Irish and Scottish descent to wear a kilt. Oftentimes people think that it's cultural appropriation to wear a kilt, but that is not what Scottish people feel about kilts. There are tartans for everyone. You have a tartan here that's just for Holyoke. You have, if you happen to be of Irish descent, are you Irish?
Can we raise your hand if you know you're Irish in this class?
Or Scottish.
Or Scottish?
I'm both.
I'm both.
Right,
Yeah, that's
so,
great.
so you would have,
Me
you
too.
would have, if you lived in, or you were from Scotland, or you have heritage from Scotland, you would pick a tartan by your last name, or by your mother's last name. And that would be, this is the Stuart tartan. And all the different patterns would be by name. If you are just from Ireland, or you are from both, so you would pick where your ancestors came from in Ireland. So if your ancestors came from County Cork or County Tyrone, then you would wear the county tartan of that county in Ireland.
I'm named after a county in Ireland.
What's your name?
Claire.
Oh, County Clare. That's exactly right. So I suppose that would be the tartan you would most definitely wear. So you would have, I think I am allowed to wear 7 different tartans from my mother's heritage and all the different names that go back through, and then I have Irish heritage as well, so I could wear some tartans from Ireland. It would be the same for you. You'd probably have a number. And you might have a grandmother from one county and a grandfather from another, so you might have more than one tartan you could wear. even if you don't have any Irish or Scottish heritage, there is a tartan just for Holyoke. Who here's from Holyoke? Guess what? Everybody gets to wear a tartan. That's pretty cool.